Hello, everyone, and welcome to InvenTank. I'm Lisa Lloyd, and we're streaming live today on LinkedIn and Facebook, or you may be catching us on one of our replays on any of the popular podcasting platforms. We are having some technical difficulties. My guest today will be joining us in just a moment. He had to shut down and reboot his computer, so hopefully that'll get everything squared away. In the meantime, please feel free to drop your name and maybe even where you're joining us from in the chat to let me know you can hear me okay. And in a few moments after we get started and I open things up with my guest, we'll be taking your questions in the order in which I receive them. So you can drop your questions in the chat at any time. And like I said, we'll just address those in the order in which they come in. In the meantime, as we're waiting for Corky, I thought that I would just, as a quick introduction, tell you a little bit about him. And then if there are any questions, we can jump into those even right off the bat here. Hi, Celeste, by the way. Thank you. I always appreciate your attendance here. Corky Newcomb is inventor of more than 50 golf products. That's a lot. And most notably, the world's first night light golf balls, generating more than $50 million with his products in retail sales. He's a prolific inventor, and I know that our conversation is going to be both insightful and fun as soon as he can make it. I did actually pull up his website, so I'm going to share that really quick with you just to give you an idea of what we're talking about. And I know that he has some wonderful examples that he can share with us as well. So this is Light for Night. Basically, it's a ball that has glow in the dark features, and he'll tell us more about how that works in just a moment. It's really interesting because I was noticing as I researched his website here, they've actually created tournaments. It's insane to be able to play as fundraisers, but even be able to play at night, which is very unusual. For those of you who golf, you really can appreciate, I'm sure, and understand how that works. Do we have any golfers here today? Okay, so Corky is here, but there is an issue with him connecting. So we'll give him another minute here. There we go. Just in time. Hi, Corky. Can you hear me okay?
Lisa, how you doing today?
Good. Thank you so much. I'm getting just the top of your head if you want to adjust your monitor just a little bit, but I'm so glad you're able to make it back in. Thanks for being here. Technology, can't live with it, can't live without it, right?
Right. I'm not high tech.
It's all right. Hey, it happens. I was just sharing with our audience how you've done more than $50 million in sales with your retail sales with your products, and how many golf inventions in particular that you have. But I was hoping that we could kick things off with you just telling us a little bit about how you got started in this business.
Sure. Well, I was working in Houston, Texas for a hotel called Sista, and was being a Civil War buff. I used to go to some of the battlefields where my great-great-grandfather fought. So long story short, I collected a lot of Civil War bullets, and my first sale, this right here, first sale I had was to Neiman Marcus in Dallas of Civil War bullets that were embedded into lucite, paperweights, letter openers, bottle openers, magnifying glasses, pen sets. Anyway, they were in the Marcus Christmas catalog that fall. And that's when I got the fever, become an entrepreneur, not knowing if I would ever invent anything. I told my boss I was going to sell bullets. He said I was crazy. Probably time he was right. But here I am several years later.
You kind of do have to be a little bit crazy to be an entrepreneur.
Sports product. I think you definitely have to be right on the edge. I mean, I'm sure working at Burger King is great. Be there at 9 and 5, and I probably could do that for 7 minutes. Then I jump out the window.
So how
So
did you go from the
after the
silver
bullets,
bullets?
I thought, okay, yeah, I ran out of bullets, and I thought, so what am I going to do? Well, I was raised on baseball by my father, and I played college baseball. And one of the complaints, of course, for all hitters in baseball is they can't hit the curveball, or they have trouble hitting the curveball consistently. So, not during college, after I got out of college and after I quit working at Sonesta, I started experimenting with baseballs that would curve. I made almost 60 prototypes. And my event product that I did were these two. Now, this one here, I don't know if you can see a little flat on there, but that one there is a percent of the ball missing. This one here has about 5% of the ball missing. And as a result, the curveball curves more than the slider. The slider doesn't curve as much as the curveball. Bottom line is, I ended up selling 14 the major league team, and then I started selling all the high school college teams. Now, there are not a lot of baseball players. There's about 5,000 high school and college players. So, I mean, it wasn't great, but I still sold about 700,000 of those curveballs.
Wow. And was
Thankfully,
that a tool
they do
then?
get lost. They get stolen. I hate to say it,
Mm.
but they have a way of from the field, which is good for sales. And the point about going to the major leagues, I always try to do my homework and get a credible or credibility of the product. So it might be a pro, it might be somebody that carries influence in that particular market. I always try to be able to have instantaneous credibility. So if somebody says, well, is that really good? I can say, well, the New York Yankees think it's good. And you're coaching who? The Phoenix High School? Okay, well, listen, you think about it, get back to me.
Oh
I'm
my
not saying
gosh.
arrogant, braggadocious matter. I'm just saying that if you have the credibility, then, not everybody's going to like your product, but it certainly goes a long ways to people believing that maybe you have something worthwhile looking at. So after that, I went into lighted products. And we were playing ball with some girls on a beach in Fort Lauderdale, and it was getting dark. And one of my friends said, what are we going to do with these girls? I said, I don't know. Why don't we light a football? And it'd be kind of fun playing touch football at night with girls, don't you think? And he'd say, well, it's great. But where's your lighted football? Well, I didn't have one. And I don't know. I think we did the girls bowling or something, maybe to the movies. But anyway, I came home back to New Hampshire early January and made my first prototype. That was this. That's the
Ah.
world's first lighted football. It used the battery, two AA batteries, and a little spring system went right inside the ball. And I drove downtown Boston, got lucky, and I sold a gentleman who became the CEO of Viacom, big conglomerate, and he owned all these Showcase Cinemas movie theaters in. So anyway, he asked me when I wanted footballs in movie theaters. He said, "That's the craziest damn thing I've ever heard." I said, "Well, no, think about it. People are in the dark. Football lights up. It's designed for nighttime fun." He goes, "So what do you want to do?" I said, "Well, I want to run a commercial in all your theaters." He goes, "Well, let me see it." I said, "Well, I don't have a commercial. I was kind of hoping you would make one." So he said, "Okay, let's see what happens." So he took me down to Cape Cod. He got for guys and girls, and made a commercial. He ran that commercial for 2 years in every one of his theaters, and he sold those footballs at the popcorn counter. Now, this gentleman, Summer Redstone, became a billionaire, and I think the reason is that he listened to everybody, and he added that, you know, this is probably something he can make some money on. So anyway, that's my football going. Then I got some reps and I started selling lighted footballs all over the USA. That branched out into other things that light up in the dark. This is a lighted wiffle ball. I had wiffle ball make these clear, not usually they're white. Clear so I would gain maximum luminosity in the ball. As you can see, it's clear. Then I went into softball, which I never really got into production because I couldn't lock the stick in, light stick that was going to go into this hole secure enough. Because if you're playing shortstop and somebody hits a bullet to you, line drive, and the stick came out, it wouldn't be good for you and for me.
Right.
So then I did lighted Babbitt and Birdie right there. So people could play nighttime Babbitt in their own back. Then I got off from kids in Rochester, New Hampshire, and he goes, "Hey, have you ever played hockey after school in the dark? It's hard to find a black puck." I said, that's a good point. So I said, okay, I'll make hockey pucks right there. Light stick one right in the bottom.
You found a niche.
Somebody said, you know, Easter eggs are kind of boring when you get beyond 6, 7 years old. And I said, I can't remember that far back. So what are you telling me? It'd be fun if you had lighted Easter eggs and we could hunt Easter eggs in the dark. I said, no kidding. Oh, it'd be, I mean, can you imagine trying to find the eggs in your backyard, looking behind rocks and trees? And I said, yeah, I guess so. So anyway, there you go.
How did that one do?
Lighted Easter eggs. And you just put the light stick right in the egg, and the eggs light it up.
But how did it do in sales? Because I'm curious about that. I don't know. That one doesn't seem like it would be a big market. How did it do?
It was pretty good for a fundraiser because some of the civic organizations, Kiwanis, Rotary, Lions, Elks, Masons, whatever. I never knew this, but they do a lot of fundraising in the town, and they're always looking for something new and different. So then a friend of mine said, hey, you know what? You should have lighted golf balls. And I was not a golfer. So I said, well, Eddie, why would you want to light a golf ball? Because nobody plays golf in the dark. That's kind of stupid, don't you think? And he said, no, it would be so that you leave work. He's a real smart guy, engineer. I think he worked for IBM. Now he works for Google. Give you an idea. He said, I'll be able to finish the last couple of holes in the spring and fall when it gets dark early. Don't you understand? It's simple idea. Said, okay, I tell you what, come into your house for dinner, I'll make you some balls. So after dinner, went down, drilled out 12 balls, put some light sticks in them, and Eddie went out and hit them. He was like a 10-year-old on Christmas. And I said, okay, whatever, have fun. So he called me Monday. He said, I need more balls. All my friends need balls. I said, well, Eddie, I've made you 12. I left with 0. That means you have all the balls. Okay? Think about it. He goes, nope, you need to make more balls. He kept bugging the heck out of me every week. Need more balls. He said, if you're smart, you should go into the lighted golf ball business. And I said, well, I don't know about that. He said, I'm telling you. This market. So anyway, long story short, I made some molds. We started making them near Boston. And this is how they look coming out of the molds. I don't know if you have an injection mold, but These are what they call runners right here. And the urethane gets squirted in the injection mold. The mold closes, boom, out pops 4 balls. That's how it works.
Very nice.
So that ended up being the first night light golf ball.
Wow.
And then I made a derivative, which is called the Twilight Ball. And I put a pigment in it so you can see it a little bit better when it's not quite dark. So that thing took off, Lisa, like gangbusters, because the golfers, believe it or not, they wanted to play tournaments in the pitch dark. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. I could see maybe finishing the last couple holes at sunset, okay? Now, being a golfer, then I am now, I understood it. But you want to go out in the pitch dark and you want to hit balls. Well, first of all, how are you going to find your way around the course? We decided we'd light the course up with light sticks. All the tees, the yardage markers, the cups, flag pins, back of the grid, all the hazards, bridges, rocks, rivers. And they started playing tournaments. And about 2 years later, all the charities jumped on board because it was a new way to have a golf fundraiser, not a same old boring golf tournament. They did a thing called 9, Dine, and 9, where they played 9 in the afternoon, they break for cocktail, cookout, barbecue, whatever, and then they go 9 at night. So they increased the greens fee. So now I got a couple of different derivatives on that, which I won't go into just yet, just now. So somebody said, hey, you know what? If you had a beer mug that lit up, you can make any beer a light beer. I said, I think I could sell that. I'm going to go to Budweiser. It's a lighted beer mug. Now, I know there's a lot of variations now, but back then, this was the only lighted beer mug where you put a light stick through this plastic capsule, totally encapsulated. The beer never touched the light stick. And my best sale here was to Ublind, which Yukon Jack whiskey, and they bought 200,000, and we Yukon Jack whiskey on these. And don't ask me why they want to put whiskey in a beer mug, but I took the order and ran like crazy.
That's amazing. Oh my gosh. So Brian Smith is actually one of our Invention Accelerator students. He says, I've played night golf. It was a blast. Thanks for inventing that experience. Have you ever thought about it that way, Corky?
Thank you very much.
You didn't just invent a product, you invented an
business, Brian. Thank you for spreading the word.
Yeah, absolutely.
Benefits of night golf, too, as Brian probably knows, Lisa, are you don't have to have a good swing because then we can see what your swing looks like.
Well, then maybe I should
you don't have to buy $100 new golf outfit, which I know what women spend on golf clothes, but I'm sure more, at least 100. You don't have to buy clothes because, you have to buy some clothes, but you don't have to buy expensive clothes because nobody can see you they're wearing.
Yep.
All right, this is called the Big Shot. And the reason it's called the Big Shot is it's a bigger ball. It's about 20% bigger. And the reason I did that is because golf is difficult. Anybody who's never played it would find out. And even golfers who are reasonably know it's difficult. So this ball was big. I made a big kind of like baseball, softball analogy. Obviously, softballs are easier to hit than baseballs. Mm-hmm. So a bigger ball would be easier to hit than a normal golf ball. So that's how that worked.
All right, we're not going to go through all 50 today, right, Corky? I'll need a longer show for that.
So
I have a
quickly, this is pretty funny. Like how do you get an idea? I think that's a good thing to talk about. So I took my daughter Sarah to Fenway. It's home of the Red Sox. People don't know that who don't live in New England, or maybe they do. So anyway, Sarah wanted to go out with one of the players, like go on a date. and I didn't even know the player, but she said, you know, Dad, you could figure it out how to meet him and, you know, get us introduced. I said, no, I came to watch the game, came to watch the Red Sox. Don't bug me. Well, that didn't work. She bugged me for 8 innings, and I was never thinking about an idea, but all of a sudden, boom, there it was. I said, Sarah, listen, honey, I got a way how you can take Johnny home. And she said, oh, so we're going to get on a date. I said, not really, but you can take part of him home. And she goes, what are you talking about? I said, well, the electronic chip inside a real Rawlings baseball, Johnny could actually say, Sarah, I would love to go out on a dinner date with you tonight, except I'm married. Well, she said, that's the dumbest idea I've ever heard, Dad. I said, well, think about this. Say that you liked hockey. What if I had a electronic chip in a hockey puck and you score a goal and your grandmother could say, Sarah, wow, the winning goal you just scored was amazing. So anyway, Bonnie, there you go. Talking autograph baseballs.
Yep.
Talking autograph hockey pucks. I just did this for the NFL alumni. Talking autograph footballs. That's a little mini move for players playing maybe in Pop Warner or the junior high school. But then the CEO of the NFL alumni, Beasley Reese, wanted me to make an official size football, NFL size. Like that.
Do you have any? Do you
then
own any?
Somebody like Tom Brady or some of the players could record their voices in there. Say, Lisa, thank you for being a New York Giants fan, San Francisco 49ers fan. Happy birthday, by the way. And then they would autograph it, and then there's a place to put photo right in there. So there you go. So let's say you played softball and you pitch a two-hitter, hit a winning home run in the ninth inning. Your grandmother could say, that was a heck of a game you pitched. And wow, that home run you hit was a rocket. Guess what? You just push the button on the ball. There's your grandmother talking about that great game. There you go.
Wow, that's a lot.
These are the new lighted golf balls. And these balls do not use a chemical light stick. These balls light up forever because you shine UV, ultraviolet light, blue light on the ball. And the reason is because we impregnated pigment inside the ball, in the surlet. So if God gives you 100 years, Lisa, guess what? You can still light your balls up. There you go. So then I took a tennis lesson in.
Corky, you're frozen up again. And I think that you were having trouble hearing me when I was trying to speak to you anyway. So I'm not sure if you can hear me right now or not. And for those of you who are just tuning in, I apologize. Corky's got some issues with his internet going on today. That's unusual for him. And so we had some issues even getting online. But I do want to take the moment now to remind all of you that you can ask your questions, and any invention question that you have. It doesn't have to be about what we're specifically talking about. But if there's just a burning question or something that you feel like is standing in the way of your success, feel free to drop those questions in the chat, and we'll do our best to combat those questions together. And hopefully Corky's internet will come back on. So, oh, Wendy, hi. Welcome. Yep, see, he's probably going to come back. Perfect timing, Wendy. Did you have to safety test the light bulbs before you? Okay. So obviously he's going to have to answer that. And one of the questions that I have for him as soon as he gets back too is on that front end stuff. I was excited to hear him talk about getting the validation and building the credibility. I just came back from the ASD show in Las Vegas, which is a variety merchandise show, and it's all general merchandise. And when you go to trade shows, which I'm sure Corky has sold a lot of product through trade shows and getting the distribution out there, a show like that has pretty much just one value proposition, and it's price. And if there's a second value proposition, it's going to be brand name, because these commodities, these general merchandise companies who have another pen, another t-shirt, another tchotchke, it's not necessarily novel. It's something that anybody, in fact, every single booth could be carrying masks, for example. The differentiator is either going to be price, or maybe they licensed glamour, the brand name glamour, and they put glamour on their masks. That's when you only have that kind of differentiation. That to me is a great way to get new products out and to go license to them, because you have the opportunity to show them how they can grow their company by having innovation. And innovation is what makes the difference, right? What helps scale the business. So I'm sorry that he's gone, folks. I hope that you have some more questions that I can answer for you. And Wendy, I'm sorry that I can't answer his question for you at this time. All right, folks. Here he comes. This is me not sweating. You're back. Can you hear me okay?
I can. I don't know how I disappeared.
Your internet dropped off. It's just dropping off. So Wendy actually has a question for you. And that is, did you have to safety test the light bulbs before, or that you had just shown? Did you go through any kind of safety testing?
Yeah. Well, regarding safety, I mean, we put all the products through a certain durability test to make sure that, I mean, going back to the first golf ball, it was such a pain. It took at least 10 months to do that. We had all kinds of problems, bubbles in the balls, spaghetti. We were molding Easter eggs like golf balls. They don't work very well.
Do you need UL approval for
couldn't get
those?
it. I'm sorry?
Do you need UL approval since they have lights in them?
I'm not quite sure. I can't quite hear you on that, Lisa.
Do you need
I
UL?
guess on those lights,
Do you need
the
UL
light stick
approval?
had to fit. In order for it to fit, you had to be able to get the stick out. At the same time, you didn't want it coming out. So that, yeah, I guess the answer to the question is we try to test it 7 ways to Sunday to make sure whatever problems that could arise don't arise.
So, hi, Margaret. And yes, absolutely. In fact, especially since we had some technical difficulties, you might want to ask Corky some questions directly. And you can contact Corky at CORKYF as in Frank, N as in Nancy at gmail.com. I'll leave that up for all y'all while we're continuing here. Corky, I had a question about something that you said earlier. You mentioned doing your homework, which I am a very, very big believer in. And you mentioned building credibility before going out to sell it. How did you do that when you said your friend who works now for Google really urged you? Was that all of the due diligence that you did to make a business case, or did you do any additional research to see if there really was a golf business there for you before pulling the trigger and going? Because your exact words were, long story short, we went into production. Let's make that short story a little bit longer. Did you do any more research before you pulled the trigger and went into molding it?
Right. So what I try to do is I try to go into the market, what I think the prime market is, and try to get beat up as much as possible. By that I mean, I already know what the positives are. I need to know what people are going to tell me they don't like about the product. Now, what you just asked me, Lisa, I went to the Manchester Country Club. And back then, there was a lot of old guys there. I don't know if they're there now, but they thought I was crazy. There was no way No way. Number one, nobody plays golf in the dark. Well, that's pretty hard to argue against because they were right. But where they were wrong was they said nobody's going to pay $4 for a golf ball because we pay whatever it was back then, 50 cents a dollar. So you're
Wow.
crazy on your price. It's never going to go. Number two, it's not a real golf ball. You got like a gimmick, a novelty, really. Well, what about fun? I asked them. We don't care about fun. We're golfers. You know, we're like purists. Okay. Well, guess what? I was in the wrong church talking to the wrong congregation. Right? These guys were purists. You know, I had to get over to the other side of the tracks and talk to people who might like to have fun on the golf course instead of breaking their clubs, oak trees, or, you know, cursing every name known to man.
You disrupted the industry. You came in and disrupted it. It reminds me a lot of wine, and when it went from being this real snooty, formal thing to being able to buy like Yellowtail, which was, you know, a $10, $12, $15 bottle of wine that you didn't need to be super sophisticated. It's the white, the red, and then maybe the two other options, pink. Keeping it simple and fun for anybody. That's what you did.
I mean, you know, what I learned in all these products is like whatever you think doesn't mean okay. I never have my own opinion. My opinion is an aggregate of everybody else's. And that's why I try to do my homework. So wherever the prime market is, I try to go in there and learn as much as I can about what I'm about to do. Okay, so these are my pickleballs. This is a lighted pickleball. This one here is a lighted pickleball. And I'm sorry. There. Okay, this pickleball lights up for nighttime fun. This is my new pro pickleball, which is called Pros Pick XLQ. Now, I don't play pickleball. In fact, when the pro in Florida told me I should be making a lot of pickleballs, I asked him, okay, well, that's great. Maybe I'll make them, but what is a pickleball? He goes, were you crazy? You know what a pickleball is? I said, well, I don't know. Maybe you put pickles on the fence and like you hit tennis balls at them. I don't know. So anyway, I did my homework. I found out who's who in pickleball. I went right through. I tried to educate myself for a year on what is a pickleball and why is pickleball booming in America and why should I make lighted pickleballs? It took me about a year. And I had to make my molds, and then is my my package. This is called the 24/7 Light for Night and Pro package because you get one of each in there plus the light sticks, or you can buy it in like a single pack like that.
So we have a couple people asking about patents, Corky. What kind of intellectual property did you feel like you needed to get for this business?
Right. Okay. So over the years, I kind of changed my mind a bit on that. I used to try to patent everything I ever came up with. The saying is patent's only good as your finances and your ability to litigate. Now, I'm not looking to fight anybody, but I don't really like people copying me, which I have had people try and take them to court. But I think if you have something that you really, really believe after you've done your homework is going to be a barn burner, a real winner, then I think it's probably a good idea. You could at least file the provisional patent, giving you a year to kind of see what's going to happen in the marketplace, you know. I got 14 patents. I got some pending right now. Those pickleballs, the lighted pickleballs, are pending right now. It's not a big market compared to, you know, we got 20 million golfers, USA. They say there might be almost 5 million pickleball players. I don't know. That's what the gurus are in pickleball magazine says. But it's worth, I think, trying to get them. Now, even if you have protection, maybe somebody's going to come and knock you off because they see that, oh, you're on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and TikTok, and you're saying you're doing great. I don't know if that's a good thing to say to a lot of people. You know, one of my friends in California, pretty smart. He's always said this line: "The whale that spouts gets harpooned." I think that's a pretty good summation of what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, it's
So
a good one.
if somebody says, "How's it going?" and you're really smoking, I mean, you're really cooking with gas and the thing's flying out the door, you can hardly make enough. I would tell them, "Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, we're shipping some, few, couple."
So that you don't
But I
paint a
sure
target on
wouldn't want
yourself.
to tell people that you're absolutely going nuts with the thing. Because
Yeah.
let's face it, say they go into Walmart or even a local sporting goods store or whatever your widget applies to. Maybe you're in Home Depot or Lowe's, whatever. That thing will be in China in 24 hours by FedEx.
Yeah.
I mean,
So it's important for
don't
our
kid yourself.
audience to understand also that Corky has manufactured and sold all his goods. He has not licensed. Have you ever toyed around with
Well,
the idea of licensing? I know the answer
yeah,
because we've talked about it, but
the talking balls, I have licensed. I did. Now
and
I did keep the footballs, at least for the rights to sell to the NFL alumni.
let me
This is
let me
kind of
just
my
point out
idea
what you
on that, Lisa. I
yeah,
think
go ahead.
my regarding licensing, I think it's good. And if you don't know that market and you don't want to get into the market and you've got some kind of IP, intellectual property, yeah, I think it's good. But the other way to do it is you could make something for you, and that way you would be able to know exactly how many units are being sold because they're buying them from you, you know, and it wouldn't even have to be exclusive. So I found this company right here up in Michigan. It's called Paddle Tech. They got 43% market share of paddles. And I called them up. I said, "Hey, what do you think about lighted balls?" And they kind of said, "Could be. Send us a sample." So I did. So this is their package. I'm making these lighted pickleballs for them. All right. Now with my golf ball, this is really funny. You're not gonna believe
Well, hang
this.
on before you
Uh,
switch gears on that. You're acting as the OEM and you're shipping direct to your wholesaler, distributor,
their
whichever,
warehouse.
right, to the warehouse. So are they buying container loads at a time and you're doing direct import for them, or are you having to warehouse it and are you shipping small quantities at a time?
No, it's being made in my factory in China. It goes right
Mhm.
to them.
Yeah,
I don't
direct.
see it.
That's awesome.
I don't see
Because
it.
all you do is push
They
paper.
pay. They pay just so they understand the mechanics. They pay
Yeah, please.
me. I take my margin. I pay my factory. That's
Hmm.
how it works. They pay
Hmm.
me. I take my margin out. I send the balance to the factory. I
Yeah,
think it's a
it's
good
just paper
system.
pushing. It's brilliant.
I like that. Now with the golf balls, I just did the same thing. It was pretty amazing. I met 700 CEOs, director of marketing in the golf business. I got one response out of 700. That's
Wow.
not very good average, batting average. Anyway, guess what? That company just shipped 2,452 Walmart stores. They're in the process of shipping them right now. So again, we made the golf balls at the factory in China. They went to the company's supplier that does all their packaging. That supplier packed them into 3 balls in the charger in their own package. They did a package just like this, only obviously golf, not pickleball. And I never saw the balls. Okay. Now that
Mhm.
deal was a little bit different. Okay. What we did was we took our costs that we're going to sell the balls to them, and then we added our margin on top of that. That's how that worked.
Yep.
So
So
I think there's a lot of ways to skin the cat.
yes.
Um, I think the OEM is a good way to do it if you want to go and invest in the tooling and make the product yourself. Otherwise, I like what you did, Lisa. You like license the world, it seems, with everything you
Not
have.
yet. I'm on my way to the whole world.
Okay, well, maybe you license the Northern Hemisphere.
So why did you choose to license the autograph concept?
That company seemed to have pretty good distribution, and I thought I can only handle so much. I mean, I
Yeah.
just showed you there's quite a few things going on here. So,
You got a
so
lot of balls
you
in
know,
the air.
there
Sorry,
you
I couldn't
go.
help
You said it. I didn't. Um, so I'm just trying to get my pick going. I mean, I I I hope the pickleballs go.
it.
Um, you can see my TV commercial I made on my website there, lightfornightpickleball.com. Again, doing the homework. I went around, I talked to a lot of people. I went to a couple pickleball tournaments. And then we had a first night event in York, Maine, October 23rd. They all came in dressed in Halloween costumes. They had an absolute blast. We left at 10. They played till midnight. So I didn't even know those people. Okay. But again, just like selling the major leagues, I'm not a curveball. What they told me was what I was looking to hear. Did you have fun tonight? They all said, "What, are you crazy? Of course we had fun.
Yes,
We played 4 hours till
exactly.
midnight.
It's
When can
such
we
a
do it
great
again?"
feeling.
So again, I don't think you can go off half cocked. You got to do your homework. I really believe you got to be religious on that. Before you spend dollar one, you got to make sure, is there a market there, and what are you going to do about it? Are people going to come in and try to slit your throat while you're halfway there? I mean, it's hairy stuff. It's not to be taken lightly. I mean, you really got to
No.
love what you're doing, and I do think that if you never quit, that good things can happen. And I tell my son and daughter, be nice to everyone, but wait for no one. I believe that's true. So if you wouldn't look at my idea as an example, Lisa, you're the CEO, and you say, well, we'll get back to you in 60 days. Okay, Lisa, that sounds good. I appreciate it. I hope you like it. I'm not waiting for you, Lisa, for 60 days for you to do your feasibility study. That's what I'm trying to say.
Hmm.
I'm going to be
I
shopping
understand.
around. Now, maybe we'll do a deal together. But if I find a CEO that says, wait a minute, this thing is hotter than sliced bread and peanut butter, we got to start making these tomorrow, then I'm sorry, Lisa, you're probably going to be out of.
You said something earlier that I think I'd like to expand on just a little bit. I think would be especially helpful for my audience. And that is that you licensed it exclusively, the balls, except for the football, the full size. You licensed the rest of the technology for the autograph product to a company,
Right.
and you retained the rights on the football. Can you explain how you did both with one product, or one type of patent, I should say?
Right. Okay, so that company, they want to come out and they want to change the name. It's okay. I don't mind. They probably think it's better name than mine. Maybe it is. So it's going to be called the Memory Ball, and they're going to focus primarily on baseballs right now. Now I'm hoping down the road that they want to try other things, just like I showed you, my hockey puck. Soccer is not just USA, but international. Basketball would be international too. You got golf, tennis; those are international as well as USA. So I envision a whole line. Now I can't say it's going to be true, but obviously, if the talking baseballs work, then there's potential for the other to work also. I started with baseball because historically, people always want to get autographs. I mean, I did, my son did. It just seemed natural. But that really wasn't the prime nerve center of that market. When I went into the garden clubs, the churches, the civic organizations, Lions, Kiwanis, Rotary, I found out the nerve center was what I alluded to earlier, that your grandmother can record her voice in that ball, Lisa, for you. That is the nerve center of that product. For you to hear your grandmother talking 20 years after she's gone about that great game, that's priceless.
Do you, it's interesting. I mean, I definitely see the value there. Any kind of memorabilia. Do you feel like you're searching for additional value in the product when you developed it for one purpose, and that was to get autographs? And I understand what inspired it with your daughter, which was a great story, by the way. But are you looking for more meaningful ways to offer it to the marketplace, to the consumer, or is that intrinsically already there? In other words, are you stretching?
I don't know. I can just tell you based on my own research. I'm not sure what the other company did that I licensed it to, but I just I found out that if your son could get the shortstop's voice inside of baseball, yeah, he's going to be thrilled about that, no question. Especially as one of the big stars. But to have his grandfather talking about the two-hitter he pitched today and the home run he hit in the ninth inning, and to hear his grandfather talking about that 20 years from now, that's where the nerve center was or is.
That's
I
cool.
didn't know that originally before I did my
You
homework.
found that out as you started, yeah, bringing them out. That's awesome.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. You got to jump in the market. Some people just hide in the closet. There's no way you're going to do that and be successful. You're going to have to jump into the market and get beat up. Now, hopefully, you won't get beat up too badly. And all
Not
that
dead.
is it's an education.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to know where the landmines are. You don't be stepping on these things after you start making them. They're making whatever the widget is.
Good point. Derek was asking for us to repeat the phrase. Shanika said, be kind to everyone, but wait for no one. So, Derek, I'm curious if that's the answer to your question. If it is, please just drop it. If not, give me a little more context because of the time delay that we have between when your question shows up for me and how long it's been since we actually said it. I don't remember. I apologize. But if that answered it for you, I hope that's good to go. And thank you for your help, Shanika. That was a good quote. I mean, you're like the landmines, the whale analogy, so that you don't paint a target on yourself. Be kind, but I heard yesterday too. Speed to market obviously is mission critical. We all know that. Fail fast, fail forward. Very common phrases in the entrepreneurial world. Failing is part of the process. So when is a failure actually a point at which you say, I've stress tested this enough to know that it's not worth it. I need to go either pivot or just completely walk away. How do you know when to stop? In other words, Corky.
That's a good question. So I measure what I call pulses. Okay, so I come over to your house, Lisa, and I show you this Let It Pickleball, and you're a pickleball player, and you tell me that's the dumbest idea I've ever heard. I said, okay, all right, thank you very much. I go to 50 more Lisas, and I hear the same thing. I'm probably going to think about this, that maybe I am crazy. Maybe it's not going to fly.
Yeah.
But I come back to your house next Saturday.
Oh no, talk about a cliffhanger. Don't freeze up there. Oh boy, here we go again, guys. I am so sorry. I know. Hey, Trevor. Hi, by the way. I'm sure he'll either come back, hang up, and then come back in like he did, or this'll just fix itself. I apologize, but please feel free to continue to drop your questions in the comments. and we'll still get to them. And if we have to stick around a little bit late to make up for some of our lost time today, we will. So I will say, in case you were confused and you didn't catch us from the beginning, if you came in a little late, Corky has manufactured and sold 50 products he's invented. He has only licensed the one, which was the autograph ball concept, so that you can record a message into it. Or originally the concept was to walk up to a player and have them speak into it and then sign it. So you got both out of that experience and not just the autograph on a piece of paper or t-shirt. And then it evolved into what we were just talking about. That's the only product patent that he has licensed. The rest of his products, whether he patented them or not, he personally has manufactured and or worked with other vendors to bring to market. Hi, JP, welcome. Not a lot of questions today. I was ready to just answer questions. All right, so I am going to share with you the last of, finish up sharing with you what I experienced at the ASD show. When Corky came back earlier, I was so excited I didn't finish my point. So when you're competing, if you're making and selling a product like what Corky has, and it is novel, then the intrinsic value is the novelty. And if you have a patent on it, then you can exclusively make and sell it. And I was talking to vendors at the show who had never licensed because they're in the commodities business. They don't, if anything, they license a brand to put on their product. They don't license products. I came back with, I basically had maybe about 12 to 14 hours on the show floor talking to people. And I came back with 14 new accounts with conversations that I had with companies that had never licensed before and are very excited at the prospect now of being able to have this new value proposition of something that they can exclusively license that no one else could have, giving them that competitive advantage. So if you've been thinking about going to trade shows, if you're curious about how to make them work with you and which shows to go to, please feel free to book a free call with me. Be happy to walk you through. In fact, let me just throw up some information here. You can go to theinventionaccelerator.com to book either a free call with me or to watch our free 1-hour course on how to invent, patent, and ultimately license your product. And fortunately, just in time, Corky comes back. Corky, we only have about 8 minutes left in the program here. So I know that you were right at the cliffhanger. So if you can, I want to hear the end of the story, but if you can kind of come to the point quickly, and then also help wrap us up with any last thoughts on most important point that you would like people, your biggest takeaway that you'd like our listeners to learn from you today.
Sure. So I'm going to do it in reverse. If they go to Sports Inventor Mentor, Sports Inventor Mentor, they'll see some information there. Some really good motivational phrases, inspirational phrases. I teach invention creation in schools. At least I was doing that before the COVID hit. My seminar, I teach kids how to create inventions in only 12 minutes. And I'm a judge for the USPTO in the National Student Invention Convention, which is a lot of fun on the local and the regional basis. COVID kind of killed it, but last year it was on Zoom, and I'm not sure about this year. Anyway, measuring the pulses. I go back to your house next Saturday. So you're having a party. You have a bunch of pickleball fanatics there. And guess what? You're the only one in the room that still doesn't like my lighted pickleballs. Everybody else is having a great time. They're saying, Lisa, come on out. You go out and you go, what? This is fun, Corky. You really should market this. Well, wait a minute. Last week, I thought you said it was, well, it's not really stupid. I thought it was stupid, but now I kind of changed my mind. So again, if I can get a pulse today and another pulse tomorrow and another pulse next week, that's being faster than the pulse was last Tuesday compared to this Tuesday, now I start to see that maybe there's something here. Now, eventually, you're gonna have to pull the trigger. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you're not gonna be 100% sure. I don't think you can be 100% sure. I mean, the Wall Street Journal has a lot of stories. People said, "Oh yeah, this is a winner." Guess what? It died. It died a quick death. But at some point, you're going to have to go for it. Now, maybe go for it means, like you, Lisa, you're going to license the product, but maybe you're going to make it, and you're going to make a few. Maybe you make 500 or 1,000.
Love it. Because
then
you can learn fast by creating a small inventory and getting it in real people's hands and testing it. And then if you need to make any changes, right, it's not as expensive.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
That's a good point.
So you put something in the local store and they sell out in 7 days. There's a
Oh boy. All right. Well, while we're waiting for him to hopefully come back on, Celeste, I see your question. Thank you for asking. I have a meeting. I'm not sure what you mean. Who has just licensed a product? A meeting with someone maybe who's just licensed a product. What role does she now play? Does she keep in contact and involved, or does she just leave it now and wait for the royalties? Thank you. And thank you for your question. So generally speaking, the answer is she has no role other than to cash her paychecks. That can vary from product to product, company to company, and it really boils down to whatever they negotiated in the agreement. Standard terms and conditions are such that once an inventor licenses to a company, they are completely hands-off. There are times where the inventor, say, for example, I come in and with my domain expertise and in licensing and in product development, perhaps they say, we'd like to also, as a condition of the terms of our agreement, have you provide 5 hours a month of consulting work with us. So if it's not stipulated, then yes, it is completely hands-off is the answer to that question. Margaret asks, so are you thinking of existing product producers licensing to others instead of shouldering the production cost? I'll let him answer that if we have time, but no, he did do it with the one product, mostly because he found the right partners. And at the end of the day, I know Corky well enough to know that he's going to manage it very well and make sure that it's in the hands of the company that is best suited for getting the maximum opportunity or realizing the maximum opportunity from the product. So in some cases, he's just licensed the once, but he would certainly continue to consider that. I think on that note, with all of the challenges that we've had, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up here. I appreciate you. Good. He's back just in time to help me say goodbye. Corky, you're back just in time to help me say goodbye. Would you just answer one quick question?
Sure.
Margaret asked, are you thinking of existing product producers licensing to others instead of shouldering the production costs? I'm not sure what to make of that question. I tried to answer it, but I'll leave it to you.
Am I thinking of a product produced licensing to others instead of
yeah.
I'm not sure. I say is that I'm not sure. My answer would be, if you can afford it, you've done your home and you think it's a winner, then you can either do it yourself or you go get a partner or you get some angel investor or loan to the bank, whatever. So that would be one decision there. The other decision is, okay, just going to do what you always do, Lisa. Just you're going to license it. I hope I answered that correctly, but it's just
I'm
like
not really
two
sure
choices.
I completely understood the question. So I'm sorry, Margaret. I hope I did. And then maybe you might have been referring to what I was talking about with the trade shows. And if you were, then in my case, I could just say that what I was talking to them about was they should, rather than just buying these commodities overseas, for example, and putting their in-house brand on it, or maybe they've licensed a brand that they can put on the commodity. rather than just exclusively trying to compete in the marketplace with commodities based on price or brand, that they can have an added advantage by including innovation as a part of their overall growth strategy. And like I said, the result was that 14 companies, if I had more time, I would have come home probably with many more. Once they understood that value, they were much more open-minded. And because when I walked up to them, I said, do you license or would you consider it? Their first answer was always no, every time. There were only 2 that absolutely emphatically didn't want to talk about it. And that was fine. But every other one of them said no at first too. And then I said, I'm not asking you to do it. I'm asking if the right product came to you at the right price and it made sense for you. Are you in a position to make it and sell it and just pay a royalty? Do you see the competitive advantage in that? And they said, well, yeah, I guess if it made sense, I would. Great. Let's talk. And it just turned into a conversation. So I hope that helps you all. I'm sorry for the technical difficulties today. I appreciate your patience with us and sticking it out. Corky, thank you so much. You're delightful. I know you could probably talk for 5 more hours uninterrupted. You have a story for everything.
A couple of minutes, I'm sure. But if anybody wants to contact me,
I'll pop that back up one more time.
My email.
Yep. Whoops.
I've
There.
dealt with
Let's
a
put
lot
that
of
back up.
inventors. I try to help people. Yep. And all I can say is you got to keep on swinging, and you never know when to make the next home run.
Perfect ending. Thank you so much. And all of you who are joining us, you can catch the replay in the same place that you caught the live stream. If you missed any part of this, or if you'd like to add your questions to the comments after the show, you're certainly welcome to do that. And we'll still do our best to get those questions answered. In the meantime, happy inventing, dare to dream, and imagine what's possible when powered by innovation. Bye, y'all.